On the news tonight, INEC resumes results collation in Abuja, announces more states receive results from 17 states. Abuja residents stage protest over alleged result manipulation. And PDP, Labour Party and ADC demand fresh elections, ask INEC Chairman Yakubu to step aside. Thank you for joining us on News Now at this hour. I am Simisola Adigun. After two postponements on day 3, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has resumed the collation of results for the 2023 presidential election at the International Conference Center in Abuja. Mahmoud Yakubu had adjourned the collation to Tuesday to enable the state collation officers for the presidential election in the remaining states to find their way to Abuja. The commission had on Monday said collation would resume on Tuesday at 11 a.m., but it was later moved. Chairman of INEC had around 4:30 p.m. said results have come from 17 states altogether. Residents in Abuja, the nation's capital, have staged a peaceful protest over the outcome of Saturday, February 25 presidential and National Assembly elections. The protesters condemned INEC for failing to keep its promise of using the bimodal voters accreditation system (BVAS) to transmit the results collated during the elections. The electoral body had promised before the elections that the results from polling units will be uploaded immediately to its central server IREV for quick collation of the results. However, during the election, the beavers were said not to have been working properly and the results were collated manually.
The margin between APC and LP originally supposed to be very wide, but they manipulated that result. They manipulated APC figure to come in close margin with the LPs. So this time around, we are getting it right. We are not going to accept this electoral process. We have seen a loads of, fraudulent practices done by APC.
Opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party and the African Democratic Congress have asked the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, to step aside for a credible personality outside the commission to oversee the electoral process in ways that will be acceptable to all stakeholders, restore the confidence of the international community, the democratic process and institutions. The three parties in a joint press conference in Abuja on Tuesday alleged that the February 25, 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections were marred with violence, rigging and intimidation of voters. The parties thereafter demanded the conduct of fresh elections in accordance to the laid down rules of INEC procedure. While responding to allegations of manipulation, INEC has asked parties that are aggrieved with the results of the presidential election that they are free to approach the courts to ventilate their concerns and wait for the matter to be resolved. Responding in a statement signed by Rotimi Oyekomi, the Chief Press Secretary, to the INEC chairman, the commission said the call for Yakubu's resignation is misplaced. It added that there are laid down procedures for aggrieved parties or candidates to follow when they are dissatisfied about the outcome of an election, saying such procedures do not include calling on the INEC chairman to resign for the election to be cancelled. Amid rising tension over the credibility of Saturday's presidential election, Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo has said it is no secret that INEC officials at operational level have allegedly compromised following the manual transmission of results, which has been manipulated and doctored. Obasanjo made this known while speaking in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. In a letter titled An Appeal for Caution and Rectification, the former president said most of the results that are brought outside BVAS and the server are not true reflection of the will of Nigerians who have made their individual choices. He, however, appealed to the INEC chairman to save Nigeria from the looming danger which is just waiting to happen.
As far as the election issues that we are now facing are concerned, the president has proved beyond reasonable doubt that he will want to leave a legacy of free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. Until last Saturday night, February 25th, 2023, the good and noble plan and preparation for the elections seem to be going well. For the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, a lot of money was spent to introduce bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the server for immediate transmission of results from polling units. It is no secret that INEC officials at operational level have been allegedly compromised to make what should have worked not work and to revert to manual transmission of results, which is manipulated and the results doctored. The chairman of INEC may claim ignorance, but he cannot fold his hands and do nothing when he knows that election process have been corrupted and most of the results that are brought outside BVAS and server are not true reflection of the will of Nigerians. Tension is building up, and please let all elections that do not pass the credibility and transparency test be cancelled and be brought back with areas where elections were disrupted for next Saturday, March 4, 2023. And BVAS and SAVER official be changed. To know which stations or polling units were manipulated, let a committee of INEC staff and representatives of the 4 major political parties with the chairman of Nigeria Bar Association look into what must be done to have hitch-free elections.
The Presidential Campaign Council of the APC has accused the People's Democratic Party and Labour Party of shopping for a court order to stop the announcement of the presidential result. One of the spokesperson of the APC Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, who made the allegation at a press conference in Abuja, insisted that the 2 opposition parties were hell-bent on scuttling the country's democratic process. On his part, the Special Advisor, Media and Communication, Dele Alake, also expressed concern over inciting comments and calls to violence by some spokespersons of the opposition, especially those from the PDP.
The APC-PCC wants to say emphatically that former President Obasanjo has no moral right to meddle in this election, let alone calling for its cancellation, because he's an interested party, having publicly on January 1 this year endorsed the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Obi. We are very well aware of the plan of the PDP and their Labour Party collaborators to heighten tension in the country and create general state of fear through their sponsored television and radio surrogates who continue to push false narratives about the general conduct of the election. We are also aware of the coordinated assaults aimed at discrediting the whole electoral process and the integrity of INEC by their so-called paid and partisan agents who wear the toga of election observers.
The unit officers who made the return and appended their signature on forms E68s to the reward officers, that's final, local government officers final, state returning officers final, the RECs. And then when it comes to the National Collation Center, the national chairman has no, national returning officer, which national chairman, has no powers under the law to review what all those returning officers have done. All your complaints should have been resolved at that level. If The national chairman at the National Collation Center now attempts to say, now I want to review what happened in this ward or local government. He's constituting himself into a tribunal. The process, as it is now, must be completed in law before you can even look at any complaints. You cannot complain about a process, about election results that have not been released, have not been announced. So they want the national chairman to inquire into results that he has not received and declared. And that is not the provisions, that is completely at variance with the Electoral Act.
The apex leadership of the Yoruba indigenous groups, the Yoruba Council worldwide, has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to ignore former President Olusegun Obasanjo over his call for the cancellation of Saturday's presidential election. Speaking at a press conference in Lagos on Tuesday, the president of the Yoruba Council worldwide, Oladotun Hassan, said the former president should be cautioned over his unfounded accusations and false alarm raised against INEC officials in the build-up to the compilation of the various states' presidential election results. The group said Obasanjo's call is a deliberate attempt to viciously scuttle the ongoing smooth electoral process through his tainted partisan efforts.
Then why must he, on his own, without any source of iota of provocation, incite all Nigerians that the election should be cancelled? The election that it took all of us prayers, it took all of us our sweat, and everybody campaigned equitably. And the election, we can all reference the election as the most balanced election in our history. Everybody voted according to their interests and conscience. And this is democracy. The sweetness of democracy is for us to imbibe love, to eschew any victimization or hatred. And we as Yorubas, we are the most respectful and we endear respect to our neighbors.
This is the call to all of us, be it Yoruba, Hausa or Igbo, to stand for justice, to stand for what is right, to stand for what we all can beat our chest and say that it has been the most credible and furious and the most effective election that we've ever witnessed. And please, let's go all out there and say it to everyone that we come across today and tell them that the election is free, is credible, and all of us should discard whatever statement that Olusegun Obasanjo has made.
As an elder statesman, such statements are just unjustified and uncalled for. An elder should be on the side of peace. Other former presidents have been on the side of peace. They have issued statements to support the work of INEC, to support the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo's statements are such statements that can cause problems with the youth, with ethnic groups across Nigeria. And we categorically condemn such statements, and we declare such statements as false, as prejudice, as malicious. And an elder statesman should not be uttering such.
The Rivers State government has denied allegations that of Governor Nyesom Wike moving around with soldiers during Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections and intimidating voters while in a bid to influence the vote. This was made known in a statement issued by the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Chris Finebone, in Port Harcourt on Monday, in reaction to a viral broadcast message alleging that Governor Wike had a discussion with a member of the House of Representatives, Dumnamene Deko, to subvert the electoral process. While urging members of the public to disregard the information, Finebone described the video as a doctored one and said those behind it were on a campaign of calumny aimed at tarnishing the image of the governor. I will take a break here, but still to come, solar to energize 330 million Africans by 2030. This is according to the World Bank. We'll bring you details when we return.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. Now here's a recap of some of our top stories tonight. After two postponements on day 3, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has returned to the collation of results for the 2023 presidential election at the International Conference Center in Abuja. Mahmoud Yakubu, INEC chairman, had adjourned the collation to Tuesday to enable the state collation officers for the presidential election in the remaining states to arrive at Abuja. We also told you that residents in Abuja, the nation's capital, have staged a peaceful protest over the outcome of the Saturday, February 25 presidential and National Assembly elections. The protesters condemned INEC for failing to keep to its promise of using the bimodal voters accreditation system (BVAS) to transmit the results of collated results during the elections. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, on Facebook we're at TV360 Online. Hong Kong will scrap its mask mandate on March the 1st. Chief Executive John Lee has announced, ending the territory's last major coronavirus measures after nearly 1,000 days. Hong Kong followed China's zero-COVID policy for much of the pandemic, but began unwinding the stringent COVID rules last year. It hopes that the relaxation of COVID-19 curbs will lure back visitors and kickstart business. The UK's COVID-19 public inquiry is facing calls to consider structural racism in every part of its investigation after it emerged that almost all minority ethnic groups were more likely to die from the virus than white British people. Earlier, the COVID-19 Bereaved Families for Justice campaign had accused the inquiry of running scared over what it claims is its unwillingness to examine why the death toll was significantly higher among the black and minority ethnic community. According to the Office for National Statistics, the death rate in the earliest phase of the pandemic was almost 3 times greater for Bangladeshi men than that of white British men, and twice as high for Pakistani women than for British white women. We'll take another short break and return with business updates. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
In front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. 2 of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Mary Kanu joins us now with business update. Over to you now, Mary.
Thank you, Simisela. Welcome to Business News. Google has announced applications for the third cohort of its Black Founders Fund for startups in Africa and Europe. This was made known in a statement by the head of startup ecosystem Google Sub-Saharan Africa, Folarin Ayegbusi, on Tuesday in Lagos. It disclosed that technology company would designate $4 million to support eligible Black-founded startups this year. Ayegbusi said the program was in line with its commitment to digital transformation and support to Black-founded startups. And the World Bank has predicted that solar power will energize 380 million Africans by 2030. To this end, the bank has urged a joint action by governments and industry to realize the full potential of solar power, which it identifies as key to bridging Africa's energy gap. The bank believes that solar mini-grids can provide high-quality, uninterrupted renewable electricity to underserved villages and communities across sub-Saharan Africa and be the least cost solution to close the energy access gap on the continent by 2030. We'll take a break and return with a review of the stock markets. To stay with us. It's the last trading day for the month of February, and investors retain their confidence in the Nigerian capital market, with demands for equity stocks raising the market capitalization by 0.86% at the close of trading. The Ocha index and market capitalization increased to 55,806 basis points and 30.4 trillion naira. Now, the market strengthened its gains on Tuesday by 260 billion naira as investors continue to position themselves for dividend income amid full year 2022 results released by equities. Our market summary shows improvement in volume, value and turnover as 237 million shares were traded in 4,435 deals. Now, moving on now to the global scene. Now, despite a solid start to the year, the fear from traders that higher Federal Reserve rates would remain in place for longer has seen the FTSE and Dow Jones fall to low levels, and that's why the FTSE and Dow Jones are currently trading down at 0.78% and 0.58%. Well, that's all on stock market reports. It's Semisola, back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Mary. South Africa's unemployment rate has fallen slightly for a fourth consecutive quarter, official data has shown on Tuesday. The drop follows falls of 1.0, 0.6 and 0.8 percentage points in the previous 3 quarters of the year. The high unemployment rate has fueled protests as well as the anti-foreigner sentiment in the country. Unemployment stood at 35.3% at the end of 2021, when the number of unemployed people peaked at 7.9 million. Between October and December 2022, the jobless rate declined by 0.2% over the third quarter to 32.7% of the workforce. In sports, former Super Eagles coach Ghana Troy has signed a 3-year deal with the Benin Football Association. Raw takes over from Musa Latunji, who had been the team's caretaker coach since Frenchman Michael Dusuya was sacked after the Squirrels failed to qualify for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations and 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Benin Republic becomes the 5th African team the Franco-German will coach after Gabon, Niger, Burkina Faso and Nigeria. Raw was sacked by the Nigeria Football Federation in December 2021 despite helping the Super Eagles qualify for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations and guiding the team to the final qualifying round for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Well, that's our bulletin this evening. Many thanks for watching. I am Simisola Ajikun. Bye for now.